Tolly here from Your Past is a Gift. Okay, so today I'm feeling a lot better than I was last week. I think I was still under the effects of the anesthetic from the day before that I'd had the endoscopy, and so I was a bit groggy and a bit out of it, but I was just so keen to share all the messages of what I had experienced in the 2 weeks that I had been in hospital. So there's still plenty to get out of them, even if I am a bit, and not my usual self. So today I had a thought. In some of the last videos from the hospital, I was just talking about how lucky I have been and how blessed I have been that I had parents, that really loved me and that protected me, beyond what normal parents protect. They were so overprotective. I mean, my mom used to drive me to school and back home. She'd pick me up, and when I went to high school, it was about a 15-minute drive away from home, maybe 20 minutes. It was quite far away, about 20-minute drive from home, because they would send me to a Catholic high school. The education was supposed to be better and all that, or more challenging for me anyway. So my mum would still drive me all the way to school, to get to this high school every morning, and then she would pick me up every afternoon. I do not know what it is to catch a bus to go to school or to high school, okay? Because she was so overprotective, that something would happen if she wasn't there throughout all those years. And so I've been kept safe. I was blessed in that way, that they cared so much, for my life and for my experiences, that I would have good experiences as a child, that they went to those extremes, But as I was, the last few days after I posted up, the videos from the hospital and all my thoughts, of the life that I've had, I was thinking many people may not resonate with that, because for many people, and I found out, much later in life, in my mind, it was always the parents' job to make sure that their children had the best childhood possible. And by the best, I mean the happiest, carefree, not having to worry about anything, not having to worry about whether you're going to eat that day, not having to worry about not having clothes to wear, when it's too cold, all those things that children, they don't need to be worrying about that. That's the adult's job. They bring you into the world, and it's, it's our job as parents to care for you until you're old enough to take care of yourself. So my whole life, I thought that this is what parents did, and this is how children grew up, and, the children that had parents, their real parents, because I did grow up with my mum's story, where she lost her parents when she was 5, and she had such a harsh childhood because of that loss. Because once she lost them, she was adopted by an aunt that was very poor, and she was very cruel to my mum and to her sisters, So she grew up feeling unwanted, or being told all the time that she was unwanted, that she was worthless, that she was useless, that she was just an extra mouth to feed, all these things. So once her parents passed away, my mum didn't know what love was, what love looked like from that moment. She had an idea of it from her first 5 years of life, but from then on, she wouldn't know what that was until she met my dad. She knew it existed. She knew that there was something better than how she was being treated as a child, but she didn't get to experience that until she fell in love with my dad. And then they got to have us, me and my sister. So for those of you out there, I apologize, because it was later in life that I was talking to a mum, and I was teaching her piano. And we went out for a coffee one day, and I was talking to her about my childhood and how happy it was, and it was carefree. I didn't have to worry about anything, except to, play and to learn at school and do the best I could at school. That's basically all my parents expected from me. But it was good, it was a good childhood. And I was talking to her, and she was saying that her childhood was not that. That she was miserable and she was depressed through most of her childhood, and she was sad and afraid, and all these words were coming out of her mouth, and she had no idea what that was, to have a happy childhood, to have a carefree childhood. And it was the first time, and I think I was in my mid-30s when this concept was presented to me, that not all children, even if they have their parents, have a happy childhood. And the truth behind that is because these adults are so troubled with their problems, with their issues, with what they've been through in life. They're so burdened with it. They're so bogged down with all of these feelings of, they're not good enough. They were made to feel bad throughout all their childhood. And then they turn into these adults that don't know how to love. They don't know how to express anything but what they've been given their whole life, of being made to feel. Because my mum could have done the same. She went to this aunt, and this aunt treated her horribly, and she used to cop horrible beatings from this woman, and she could have done the same. She could have become a really bitter adult, and she could have passed on the same that was given to her, to us, her children. She could have kept doing that, and my dad used to cop horrible beatings, horrible. They weren't smacks. They were just, this was physical violence, the way they were brought up. They weren't just smacked. They were beaten until, they were covered in bruises, and the adult couldn't hit anymore. That was the way in those days that the children were disciplined. Now they could have passed that on because that's what they were brought up with, both of my parents. And yet neither of them did that. And both of them had a very sad childhood. But for some reason, when they had us, they decided in their minds that they wanted us, my sister and I, they wanted us to have the childhood they didn't get to have. With all the wonderful things, with having a bicycle and watching us ride our bicycle for the first time and learning how to ride it. All these things, simple things, but, things that make a childhood so happy for so many of us. The exploring, the discovering the world for the first time. Allowing a child to do that, is just magical. So today I put it to you that you always have a choice. There's always a choice. Yes, you may have had the most miserable childhood. You may have, like my parents did. But you can decide today as an adult, as the grown-up. And even if you're in your teen years and you're not quite an adult yet, but you can make a decision right now that if that made you feel bad, if it made you feel that you weren't good enough, if it made you feel that you don't deserve to be loved, all those feelings, that you're not worthy of love, you can choose today to not do that to another person. You can choose today. And that's what all these videos are about. It's about not being that victim anymore. Okay, it wasn't given to you as a child. Doesn't mean that you can't give it as an adult. Alright, now in the next video I'll talk more about that, because there's the other side of it. The joy that you get as an adult watching, the effects of you opening your heart, and seeing other people benefit from that joy, from that love that you have to give. Alright, my darlings, lots of love to you today. Right, remember to click like and subscribe below so you don't miss any of the messages. Okay, and please share the videos, because you never know whose life you might turn around today just by passing this video on. Right, my darlings, I'll see you soon. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.